Hello, I'm Tom Feldmann, and in this lesson we're going to work through a song I've put together titled A Blues. And the basic idea for this song was to take many of the different things that Robert Johnson was doing out of his A Blues compositions, put them into one song, and that's what I've done here. I'm talking about songs like Kindhearted Woman, Phonograph Blues, Dead Shrimp Blues, Me and the Devil Blues, Little Queen of Spades, Honeymoon Blues. Quite a few songs that Robert Johnson recorded out of standard tuning A position all fall into a similar category. A lot of recycled ideas, a lot of things he's doing over and over again throughout these really great classic songs. So I put together little bits and pieces into one song, and that's what we have here. We're in standard tuning, so if you want to get into tune with me, we've got our low E, our A, our D, our G, our B, and our high E. I'm going to break this song down into different pieces, and you can see in the tablature how I've done that. It'll say intro, section 1A, section 1B, first verse, section 1A, section 1B, and so forth. So we're going to start off with the intro, then we're going to do a couple different verses where I'm going to lay out all the different licks he's doing for the different fills and the different ways he went about playing the chord shapes to do the basic progression that we're going to be using throughout this song. And then we're going to do a guitar break. Then lastly, we'll do one final verse, and the basic idea for the last verse is just to put together all the different things that we've worked through for this song into kind of a grand finale of a last verse, just putting through anything we want to in that last verse. And that's the basic concept of the last verse. So there's nothing really new happening there. It's basically leaving it up to you to add your own personal elements as you see fit. So that's the breakdown. Let's get into the intro. For the intro, we're going to go up to the 9th fret for our A7 chord. It's a D7 chord shape, which means the 3rd and the 1st strings are at the 9th fret. The 2nd string is at the 8th fret. And I would like your fingering to be like this so your pinky is free, because when we get to the guitar break, we're going to need that pinky to add to the 10th fret of the 2nd string. So that's why my fingering is like this as opposed to like that. So 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, to our long A chord. And all of the intros for Robert Johnson's A compositions do a version of this. Sometimes he'll start at the 9th fret and do exactly as I just did. Other times he'll slide up to that 9th fret. And that's completely up to you. That's just a minor variation, however you want to do it. I'm going to do it just starting at the 9th fret and going down. So 9th, 8th, 7th, long A, which is going to start our walk down. This long A, what it is 5th string open, and then we're barring at the 2nd fret, strings 4 through 1, and then we're going to add that 1st string on the 5th fret. And then we're going to do our walk down. So we've got the into an E7. E7 chord. So the walk down, what I'm doing is that I'm actually barring strings 1 and 2 at the 5th fret. And then I'm walking down 5, 4, 3, 2 on the 4th string. And there's different versions of this for every intro. The reason that I'm barring this 2nd string is so I can go, which you'll definitely hear Robert Johnson doing in some songs. Other songs he won't do that, and it'll just be like that. So you don't need to bar that 2nd string if you don't want to. I like to do it just so I have it. If it's there, I can use it. If not, it's no big deal, but it's nice to be able to do it just to have it. So this is the version of the walk down that I'm going to do. To an E7. Other versions of his walk down will go like this. Into that E7. So what that is instead of taking it from the 3rd to the 2nd fret, instead of doing that, he'll go like that. He'll do like an A7 and do a pull off. So 3, 2, open. So it'll go into his E7. Again, just a little variation there for the intro. However, I'm going to stick with the that. So now that we're into this E7, that's the whole intro. And from there, we're going to go into the first verse. So here's the first verse. After we get done with the intro, we get that A7. What we're going to do is slide up to the 5th fret. And what this is our 2nd version of A7. And so that's going to the 6th fret, that 3rd string. And then our 4th and our 2nd strings are at the 5th fret. And that's A7. And what we're going to do here is do this. We've got our shuffle bass. Go back down 1 fret, go back up, like that. When we go back down to the 4th fret, we're going to add our pinky on the 5th fret for that. That's where you get that sound. So all that is 5th fret, 1st string, open, back up. So we're just going back and forth from that 5th fret to that 4th fret. That's all that chord shape is going to be doing. Now what we're going to be doing with the bass to get the shuffle, we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm not just hitting the 5th string, I'm hitting the 5th and the 4th together because I'm fretting that at the 5th fret. I'm also not leaving it wide open. I'm palm muting. I'm lightly placing my hand near the saddle of the guitar, not pressing on the strings, just lightly resting my hands on the string. And you can hear how that deadens the string. So it's not, we got it down to a much more manageable tone. If it's wide open like this, everything mushes together. If we have it dampened, we can control that. And we can get it down to a rhythm rather than a note. And that's what we're trying to do. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And with the left hand, to get more separation going in, that feel of that, I want to create more separation. So I'm pulsating that 1st finger on that 4th string and the 5th fret. And likewise when I'm going down. So I'm going to go. So you might just want to practice that for a while. And get comfortable doing that. So, from that E7, from that intro, we're going to go up, 4th, back up, down, And that is the first fill that we're going to work through. That's definitely what we all recognize when we think of Robert Johnson and his A blues compositions. It did not originate with him, but man, did he popularize that. So what that is after we go back down to the 4th, and we add that 5th string and go back up, immediately we're going to go back to the 5th, because we're going to go down 5th, 4th, 3rd, because we're doing our A7. So that's how that's going to sound. Got a kind-hearted woman, there's anything in the world for me. Now we're into our D7 chord here. I'm snapping it way more than Robert Johnson was. I'm just doing that for effect. I really enjoy that. That's a part of Delta blues that I really enjoy, is that snapping. And if you want to do the snap, all I'm doing is having my thumb underneath the string and letting it slip off. And it's making a lot more noise than there's actually effort involved in doing it. So from the walking up to that D7, different fingerings for this. We've got our 6th string, 2nd fret, which I'm using my middle finger. My ring finger is on the 3rd string of that 2nd fret. My 1st finger is on the 2nd string of the 1st fret. This is one fingering version of this song. You might see it more traditionally played like this. 1st finger staying the same on that 2nd string, 1st fret. Now our middle is using the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and our thumb is using that 6th string, 2nd fret. This is how you would typically see a Delta blues player play this chord, but this is another version. I actually use them both together. It just depends on what I'm coming into. I'll go to whatever version I want to play. All we're doing when we get to this D7 is playing with strings 6, 3, and 2. So that bass again, so that 6th string. And that's the D7. Back up to the A7. That's the other version of the fill I want to show you. Into our E7. And all that is playing around with that A7 chord. D7 to our walk down. And that's our first verse. Second verse, we're going to go back up to the 9th fret. Again, that's A7 at the 9th fret. And we're just going to hang there for a second. Again. Now this is where it gets real fun. We're going to go. Like that. So again, just like the intro, 9, 8, 7. Now we're going to do a partial A here. We're borrowing 1st and 2nd strings at the 5th fret, adding that 6th fret on that 3rd string. So it's going to go back up into our D7. just love that. D7 is the same. That's another version of the fill, is basically not doing much of anything other than going down and then dragging our fingers up strings 3, 2, and 1. So it's to our E7, D7, to the walk down. Third verse, 5th fret, ain't but the one thing makes Mr. Johnson dream. Well, I tell you, honey, I began to think, oh baby, your love don't mean a thing. So there, all we're doing is going back and forth from that 5th to the 4th, but then we're going to go up to the 9th, 7th, 5th on strings 3 and 1. When we get to the 5th, we're going to bend up. We're going to do a bend there. So we're going to go again. And then from the 5th, slide into that long A. Now what I've done here is added this. This is not something that Robert Johnson did. This is something that Scrapper Blackwell does. And this version of this song, or these A blues compositions that Robert Johnson was doing, borrowed heavily from Scrapper Blackwell. So I decided to throw a little Scrapper in just because we should. You got our E7, D7, to the walk down. So let me do that again real quickly. And now let's take a look at the guitar break. The guitar break is going to go up to the 9th fret, almost like we just did, and go. Just like we just went through in that verse that we went through, but he's going to go back up to the 9th and go. That's where things get different. So again, starts off. Back up. So the fingerings for that 9th fret, we're going to add our pinky at the 10th fret and go to the 7th fret and add that 8th fret with our pinky. So 10th fret at that 2nd string, 8th fret with that 1st string, and then do that bend that we did for the verse that we just went through on that 5th fret. So again, and then it just goes like a regular verse. The last verse here is just going to be basically putting everything we just did into one verse. That's the ending. Open second string, third fret with that second string, open first, second fret to our A7. Those are all the basic elements for this A blues. I hope you've enjoyed working through it.